Hello and welcome to the another part two, I guess you could say, of our discussion on on exploration. This is, of course, the After Dark section of the episode where we take questions from the audience. So if you missed our episode where we talked about exploration gameplay, I'll probably title it as something that's like, "You're probably wrong about Star Citizen's exploration." It'll be above HG Vertigo's head over there. Click that, watch it ahead of time. And like I've said in that other video, I have been releasing all of these as an audio format on Spotify and pretty much every other podcast format that exists. So make sure you check that out if you want the audio version. Because that's actually the full episode, this and the other section put together, and it'll be available before the video versions, which will go out on Monday and Wednesday of the week, the days after we do it live. We also do it live on twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropub, or / the Captain's Table podcast. So without any further ado, let's get started with the first question from Simon Wolf, who asks, is there a future, any future, in which we can have romance in any form in the verse? Chris Roberts has been very explicit about this. No.
Chris Roberts can't do romance. I played all the Wing Commander games and Freelancer. he can't write romance. He's just not something he's capable of.
He's not good at it.
No, he's not. He needs like a writer's crutch to get, like, he needs to hire someone else to write it for him.
Yeah. I also think it doesn't really work in a game like Star Citizen, because like Star Citizen, like how many MMOs do you have a romance option?
Actually, you know what? I take that back. You can just find someone to marry you in Star Citizen. Right?
Yes.
Go
find a real person.
Girl or guy, because it's happened in other MMOs where people have gotten married.
There are probably people who've already been married in Star Citizen, who've met each other in Star Citizen, got married. You know, like it's 1 million people and it's been like 13, 14 years. Like this gotta have happened at some point.
This question exposes skill issues, Paul. So I think we're capable of moving on.
Yes. But it is a good point, because they also mentioned specifically that they're not going to do a romance option in Squadron. So it doesn't make sense. So,
but there's always fan fiction, folks.
Shipping is a thing. Just remember, if you ship anybody, you have to ship me with Cal Mason. That's required. Nobody else. There's no other ships that exists. It's Paul Shelley and Cal Mason. Otherwise, you're wrong. Simon Wolf then asks, can we have non-organic life forms with us as we explore as members of our crew, like Data?
I actually have something for this.
Okay.
All right. So I had my birthday recently, and my mom gave me a pet rock, a pet weather rock.
There we go.
So you put this outside your house, and if it's wet, you can tell if it's raining or not.
Or has rained. Yes.
It has rained. Seriously, she actually gave me a little box, and I opened it up, and there's just like a rock that says weather rock on it. I'm like, thanks, Mom. I actually had a good laugh over it. I wanted to you brought that up in a non-organic life. I have a pet rock now.
In the lore, there is no AI, so you wouldn't have like any kind of artificial intelligence, but we do know that there was the repair bot that they sold, the repair droid or whatever, that they had as part, not sold, but they had it as part of their expansion, or like one of those goals where like if you purchase the game before a certain point, you'd get a free repair robot. So I'm sure there BB-8
something.
Yeah.
Repair you bot. Yeah,
there's the BB-12 man maneuvering unit, and then there's also like another like BB. It was like another BB title, but it's basically BB-8, kind of idea. So, I think we'll see some automated life forms, but probably not like, you're not going to have Data or
Chris Roberts does not go very hard for like androids.
He specifically, I remember talking with Dave Haddock about this. He specifically hates artificial intelligence in games, like AI characters, because he feels like it cheapens. Because like when it comes to why twofold. One, it comes to it raises the question: if you have a super smart android, why don't you just have them do the thing and
Yeah.
not risk human lives? And secondly, it also exposes the like you can use it as a MacGuffin, or like, why did this enterprise survive? Well, because they have data, and it becomes
And you know what? Star Trek deals with both of those situations extremely well. There was that episode where they had those little robot things that would go and repair stuff, and they actually
helpers.
became sentient.
Yeah,
Those little helper bots, and they stopped helping because they realized if they went into a dangerous situation,
die.
they would die.
Yeah,
And so
Peanut
they stopped
hamper.
doing their jobs.
Yeah. In the animated lower decks, you have one of them becomes a member
Peanut
of
basket,
Starfleet.
peanut
Yeah,
hamper,
peanut hamper. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a twist in peanut hamper. I'm not going to explain what the twist is, but yeah. The dots is what you pay. Yeah. But
Yeah, and there was an episode where Data got mind controlled by Dr. Noonien Soon and had to like hijack the Enterprise as well. And I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can come from that if you're actually good at writing.
Yeah.
Like that's why one thing I leverage at Chris Roberts at criticism. He's not a very good writer.
He's an okay writer. He's fine, but don't expect like award-winning shit from Chris Roberts. He's a great B movie sort of writer.
Yeah.
He gets you what you need and gets some good quips and you're in and out. I think his plots are pretty good. Like Wing Commander 4's plot was fairly good.
Wing Commander 3 and 4 were good.
Yeah. But they're not like revolutionary.
Yeah, not world shattering.
No.
But I mean, like avoiding the whole AI thing, like it can be done if you're clever about it. Like even with all his criticisms about what like AI just Deus Ex Machina, or it just does everything for you. Like there's been other games that have had AI characters.
Halo.
Call of Duty Infinity War had I think it was Ethan, which was an android.
I love that. Of course, there's BT from Titanfall, similar thing, but those were like characters. Those weren't like, I wouldn't consider them AI. I would consider them people who happen to be robots.
Yeah.
Like that's a little different. Then you have like Cortana from Halo, who just sort of like is a do anything key, and it becomes like the key is to get to survive long enough to get Cortana to do the thing.
Yeah,
So,
and that's a legit criticism of like the original Halo Combat Evolved, where just Cortana, you're carrying Cortana to the mission objective and just plugging her into stuff.
Yeah. But I also think that even though like AI is banned in the Star Citizen universe because Chris Roberts doesn't like AI, I do think that they're going to end up being critical parts of the game. Like we'll have like Mass Effect did with like rogue AI. When you have a rogue AI that's taking over things, like that entire mission in the first Mass Effect where like the moon base is taken over by a rogue AI, and
that was a good one.
So yeah. So I think it's still going to be there, but I don't think you're going to have like K2SO on your ship. You're not going to have Marvin
or R2D2 or C3PO.
Yeah. So, all right. Andre Olivier asks, what about the possibility of data miners ruining exploration gameplay?
Very high possibility.
That was what I thought too. And then someone in chat brought up the fact that I don't think data miners have been able to data mine anything that is server based. It's only client based because the stuff they've been pulling is out from the client. So like, for instance, all of the commodity prices are server based, not client based. Because if they just changed them in the client base, they could just data mine the prices and then post them on, websites, and they would have them there. So there may be some aspects if they can make those like locations or those like secret jump points server based, they may be able to be hidden from the data miners. But I don't know if that's true or not. But I do think that that's always a risk if CIG doesn't handle it properly.
Here's the problem. Like, games require at some point you to load information into your computer's memory.
Yeah.
And if it's on your computer, you could read that memory and you can get the data structure.
Yeah.
So even if it's server based, at some point it has to get off the server onto your computer. For example, the Javelin, right?
Yeah.
As soon as you get close enough to a javelin, it has to load onto your computer's memory in order for you to render it. And when that happens, you have a lot of information on the javelin on your computer. So
Yeah, but you have to find it.
yeah,
With that situation, it's already been found, and that's just a matter of people posting, the information.
and that's the thing with like the planets and whatnot. You have to put that information into memory as you approach a planet if we're going about spoiling exploration.
Yeah.
There is a website that shows you every location in Star Citizen that
Yep.
exists ever. And you can get coordinates for those locations and just fly to those locations and those coordinates. And I'm trying to think of how CIG would stop that, because once you get up close to a planet, it loads all that information in your computer.
Yeah, I think that is 100% going to happen. I don't think CIG can stop that, but I think the question is more, they add a secret jump point, and then like before it's even released into PTU, it's found in the files and immediately released. And I think if it's like server based, if nobody finds it in game, then it can't be found in the files, unless someone like leaked it or something like that. But
Here's a thing: CIG adds a jump point that nobody finds because there's a bug that makes it so it doesn't spawn. And nobody knows about it. Nobody ever finds it, and CIG's just like, damn, we hid this thing too well. And it's just like people have been walking past the thing for like a week.
Yeah.
But it's not there because the game didn't spawn it.
Well, it's like the data pads from Align and Mine. Not Align and Mine. The original like Save Stanton, I think, or Fight for Pyro. They're supposedly, it was Save Stanton, where they supposedly were supposed to have data pads drop, which would have hinted at the fact that what were they called? The Frontier Fighters were secretly the bad guys, but there was a bug and they never spawned, so no one knew the hints because the data pads weren't dropping properly. So
all right, yeah.
All right. Next question comes from Gin and Tonic, who asks, ever experienced the scanning gameplay in EVE? I'd love for there to be some version of that in Star Citizen. I was not much of an EVE player, so I don't remember.
Yes.
Do you remember?
I did like 6 years ago.
Mhm.
I played EVE for like 2 weeks on trial account, and I quit around the time that I was in the scanning tutorial. But it had you had this kind of, if you ever played Homeworld, you had like the sensor manager.
Yeah.
And you go into this overview mode where you have your ship in one part of the, in the center, and you zoom out and zoom in, and it's like millions of kilometers, right? So you can zoom out to view the entire solar system you're in, or you can zoom in to like a couple 100 kilometers around your ship. And you had to launch probes that you had to buy in your inventory, and you'd use triangulation to find sensor contact. And then you try to align your probes around the sensor contact to get higher resolution. And eventually, it's basically like you had to manipulate little wheels and dials to resolve something. And you had to like position your probes in the right way to get a lock. And then once you got a lock, you can actually travel to that location to see what you got.
I think CIG mentioned something sort of like that, because at one point they talked about long-range scanning involving probes. You'd shoot a probe out, and then the probe would be able to find things. You'd have to dial in the probe sensors so you can get better. So yeah, I mean, I could see something like that. It's hard to really judge because we just don't know what scanning gameplay is. Because
I mean, we know that Carrack has drones.
Yeah, we know Carrack has
we don't know
drones.
what those drones. We don't know exactly what all drones are going to be in Star Citizen. I don't think CIG really.
No, there's.
Will we have drones that have quantum drives that can go out millions of kilometers to scan, and you have to like do a formation with them?
Yeah, like. It's and will they have to add probes to like other long range explorers that they currently don't have probes, or something like that? It's up in the air right now. We do know that scanning gameplay as it is right now is sort of the fun foundational aspect of it, where you ping and then you can find locations, and the better your scanners are, the larger your ping is and the more detailed you can get from further away. There's just a lot of other aspects which we don't really fully have a grasp on. And I think that is really the crux of exploration gameplay. Because scanning is so important for exploration gameplay, until we know what CIG is doing with scanning, then we really can't know exactly how the gameplay loop of exploration is actually going to look like. So, yeah. Next question comes from Ashhole, who asks, do you think CIG will ever bring out a transient jump point, last only a few weeks, to a new Uncharted system, unpopulated, then close the jump point? No.
Ooh.
Transient
I have the completely different opinion on you.
Well, transient jump points are temporary. So you can only they only exist for a certain amount of time. And I don't see CIG putting in a shit ton of work to open up a gateway to a new system that no one knows about, that will only last a couple of weeks and then close. Because then that will you have a possibility of trapping a player in the new system and without a way of getting back. I could see them doing something. I see what Ash is trying to point out, which is the Starfield attempt, where like you could set it up for something like this is going to get you to an unknown system, and then it just pops up a randomly generated system. You go into that system, and then because it's only temporary, like the dunes, deep sands, like at a certain point you have to leave, and when you leave, it gets wiped. So like there could be hundreds of thousands of systems that players could go to, they could find and explore, but the second they leave, it's all destroyed, and you won't have that system again. And I just don't see that as a thing that CIG will do, if that makes sense. Like it just seems like A, lot of work, B, a narrative nightmare, and C, a direction that they philosophically won't take. Do I think they'll ever put in like an actual jump point that you could find and it'll be permanent, that'll go to an Uncharted system? Yeah, eventually. But that's different. You disagreed with me though, Vertigo?
Yes, massively disagree. I think
it.
CIG will do it. A transitory temporary jump point that maybe they advertise. They said, hey, they're probably going to plaster it over the entire webpage. It's going to be like the Hathor or Stormbreaker event. They're like, hey, we just this weird unstable jump point just opened up, and there's going to be a Gold Rush event, and it's going to be open for 2 weeks. Everybody rushes over. You don't have to. Maybe you'll have like you accidentally discover them. You can explore them later on in development, or maybe. But I can see CIG doing it. They make a bespoke system with a star and a planet, maybe a moon. Maybe it's just a star and a planet. You can do that, right? And it's an empty planet, and there's rare resources over there. And then a lot of people, maybe it's a Vanduul system, maybe it's a Vanu system, an unexplored location. You go down there, you find a city, an alien city, right? And there's a bunch of cool alien stuff that we need to bring back for like an event we're doing to solve the regen crisis or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you have 2 weeks. And at the end of 2 weeks, you can't get back into the system, but you can always leave the system.
Yeah.
Right? The jump hole works one direction after that point, leaving. So so you can either backspace out of the system to respawn in Pyro or Stanton, or you can just leave through the jump point, but you can't come back.
I could see something
or it just kicks everybody out back to Stanton.
I could see something like that for like a annual event or something that they could bring back as a MacGuffin. Like, yeah, we know there's this system. Like there's a system in the lore which it collapsed. Its jump point collapsed with other people on the other side, so they've been trapped in this system for generations now. And CIG has heavily hinted that they're still there, that there's some alternate human civilization that exists in this system, and possibly in a complete subsection of the galaxy that is completely different from the UEE.
But I agree with you that I don't think CIG would intentionally trap people permanently. No. You'd either have to take the long scenic route back around to get back to Stanton or Pyro. Like you have to go the opposite direction through the jump network.
Yeah.
I imagine CIG can easily do procedurally generated system, right? They could just spawn a star and a barren planet, drop some resources on it, transient jump point, it's open for 2 weeks, go nuts, right? Yeah. And it's just a bunch of Terranite or something on the planet. But I could also see them doing transited jump points between other solar systems that we already know about.
Yeah,
and I think they've hinted at that in the future.
like a
Like, you can have a
temporary
back-
jump point between.
You can have a backdoor way into Pyro that's not monitored by the authorities.
Yeah, no, that's what transient jump points are. Like you could have a
Mhm.
Stanton to Pyro jump point that's
Or
a temporary one that'll let you enter in a different location and exit in a different location. So
you can have a transient jump point from one side of Pyro to the other side of Pyro that makes transit times a lot quicker.
it's temporary.
Yeah, Independence War, the spaceship simulator, did that with their FTL drive, where all Lagrange points were essentially warp points, wormholes to other parts of the solar system. So if you wanted to go from one planet to the other, you just fly to a nearby Lagrange points, and you'd end up in another. You didn't have to travel through their quantum drive to another planet. It would take you a couple minutes.
Mhm.
If you wanted to, you could. Or you could just take your capsule drive and just go to a Lagrange point, and boom, you're there in seconds. CIG could do that if they wanted to spice things up a little.
They could do something like that. I mean, there's also the like space lanes from X series, or even from Freelancer. They had the space lanes where you could have some as that function like those space lanes where it's sort of a shortcut. So, Red Marine says or Chris Wooten said, I don't know, it was Dragotalon who said asked, didn't they already have a system like that where the jump point collapsed? Yeah, it's called Orotani. This is what I was talking about. But if you're saying like a bespoke system that only opens up for specific events where everyone's like kind of a, but so they don't have, they could reuse the assets, but it's only open for 2 weeks.
It's the Christmas system.
Yeah,
it's constantly snowing there, and there's Santa Claus, and it's kind of this goofy thing where
I don't think
every species is like an elf or something.
I don't think they'll go that way, but I do think that doing some sort of like temporary jump point that would only opens and make it's random whenever CIG wants it to open. It can become like a stage for whatever they want to set it at. So as a way of keeping players on their toes. So like the Orotani system, for instance, like you can go in the Orotani system and explore what happened to the systems. You know,
I could see CIG using that a transitory wormhole to kind of keep like a certain bespoke piece of content away from the rest of Stanton and Pyro.
So you can only access it at specific times that they want to, and for a specific time period. Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't have it spilling whatever. I can't imagine why they'd want to do this. There's probably reasons, but they want to keep it separate from Stanton and Pyro so it doesn't spill back over into the rest of the game. I could World of Warcraft did that for their expansion packs, like Mists of Pandaria, where you had like a separate continent you had to go to, if I recall correctly. So that could be something like that.
So there's a question, some situation here. Okay, yeah. Just clarifying. All right, yeah. I mean, the thing that I don't see CIG doing though is the idea that you can find a jump point and it'll lead you to like a unique system that only is for you and you're a special snowflake because you discovered a jump point. And
actually, Paul,
you know, and thus you can always go to and you can go name the system and all the animals there that are all unique like that. That feels like you're hopiums. Like,
yeah. Well, there is that stretch goal where everybody who pledged before a certain amount gets access to that super special backer system. So kind of, sort of, but yeah, individual solar systems. Games like Elite Dangerous can get away with that because they procedurally generate everything.
Yeah.
No Man's Sky can get away with it too because of the same reason. Does Chris Roberts? Chris Roberts tends to favor bespoke, artisanal, solar system design, not just factory assembled, procedurally generated, kind of like everything's in a salad, kind of like
he wants
in a blender.
He wants every system to have a story. It's kind of this. That's how Freelancer worked. That's how Privateer worked. Like every place has a story. It has a culture. It has mission givers. Sometimes it's very simple and basic. Like I think Freelancer, we only had like 1 or 2 mission givers per planetary system, but like they had long stories that involved like, you know, like was it like the Liberty system,
as
you know, all the different factions in Freelancer.
As we brought before in the previous discussion we had, other games like Elite Dangerous and No Man's Sky have a lot of empty space, right?
Yeah.
Especially Elite Dangerous. And Chris Roberts, they recognize that, and they don't want to have that. They want to have places you visit be meaningful, right? There's something interesting there for you to look at or experience or interact. So they're not going to have millions upon millions of solar systems that are just oh, it's a barren rock that has molten on the surface because it's too close to the sun, and this one's too far away. Therefore, it's frozen rock, and there's no atmosphere, and it's just iron and zinc and nickel, and that's it. A million times. They don't want to have that. Oh,
They originally had that, which was before they had Planetary Landing, and then they had Planetary Landing. They're like, no, we can't do that. We have to have them be interesting. So,
which I can appreciate because I've played Elite Dangerous, and boy, does it kind of get boring just flying around looking at the same crap all the time.
yeah. All right. Apparently, I'm cutting out the tiniest bit every once in a while. I can drop the threshold a little bit.
I think your noise gate's
it.
closing a little too fast.
Yeah, I think I know what it is. It's my attenuation. The problem is that if I drop my attenuation too much, it ends up being like you can hear the fans in the background.
Yeah, I got my fans going right now too. It's
warm. I can kind of hear your attenuation's hitting a little bit itself, so as well. But drop this down to like 55. There we go. Yeah, it's good. It works pretty well. All right. No, you're fine, Dylan. It's something I've been trying to dial in since I got the new PC because it's been. I don't want the fans to be heard in the background, but I also want to make sure you can hear me, even if I kind of dip down a little bit. So, boop, 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 boop. All right. Next question comes from Escape, who asks, "Would you like to see pets incorporated into exploration somehow?"
Yeah,
sure.
Be able to find alien life forms and like bring them aboard, and oh, okay, cool. This. I mean, that's the Valacar backstory, right? That's why they're everywhere right now.
I am a big fan of RimWorld, and if you've played RimWorld, alien animals or just regular animals are a big part of like that gameplay, both in terms of resources and in terms of like helping you transport things or fight things. And so I love that idea, but we'll see. Because the other problem is that if you have to purchase pets in order to use them, and then they die, like you either have to make them invincible.
Jesus, Paul, you make it sound like owning a pet's like owning a health potion.
I mean,
you purchase the pet, you use it, and then you get a new one.
I mean, that's the problem is that like it could die, and then people either get attached to it, or like how do you make sure that pets don't get killed? You know, do you have to have like a regen stuff for them? So
pet regeneration crisis.
Yes.
No, Fido didn't regenerate after the ship crashed. This is unacceptable.
All right.
LTI pets, get the hell out of here.
Raptor XYT asks, do you think we'll ever see scanning in Star Citizen like there is in Eve? Well, I mean, that's what Jin asked earlier. When you deploy the probes and narrow down the field again. It really depends on how probe gameplay works, if they do probes, and it'll probably end up just being a reuse of their drones. So it's really where does CIG want to go with it? And we haven't seen anything of the scanning gameplay ever. I think the stuff we've seen has mostly been them talking about it, not actually showing it. Though they have been working on it in the background, most of it's been focused on the FPS scanning. So we'll see. All right, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more questions. The next question comes from Oddball's Hobby Channel, who asks, now that Kruger has entered the quantum-capable ship era, how do you envision their first ship with an interior, and what type of ship would you like to see first?
I mean, Kruger is known for building weapons and aerospace components. Mostly they're known for their weapon systems. I know a little bit of lore, Paul. You'll be so proud of me. That's me making Daddy.
I'm very proud
Daddy
of you,
Shelley
son.
proud of me. Yeah. So Kruger Dynamics is known for their weapons development, but they did make a lot of aerospace components for Anvil, Aegis, RSI.
Yeah.
And their first foray into starships was them teaming up with RSI to make the P series, which is the Mustang and the Archimedes. They made the Mustang, the Merlin, the P-51, P-52.
Yeah.
P series.
It's basically a Mustang is the reference, is what it's trying to harken back to, but yes.
Yeah. They made the Merlin to be kind of like a fighter craft kind of shuttle thingy, and the Archimedes was built as a racing ship. And that was kind of like Kruger did for a little while. And then they got in with the L-21 Wolf, which is, again, light fighter. So we're seeing a lot of combat stuff. I would imagine if Kruger wanted to get into ships, other additional ships, maybe with ships with interiors, I'd probably say race, something similar to the 350R Origin racing ship.
I can see it.
Maybe.
With an interior, though?
Not really. Kruger hasn't done anything with an interior yet. If they were going to do something with an interior, I would imagine it would be something to do maybe a ground vehicle, because Kruger's small, really small manufacturer. I would maybe see Kruger. I could see Kruger doing like a hover vehicle that's like transport or construction or crafting, because they're a manufacturing firm. So crafting like seems just a fit.
Yeah, I can see that
for Kruger.
I've joked about what I've dubbed the like U-35 stag from them, which is a C1 freelancer Cutlass sort of range ships, but it's similar to the Naboo like Corsair, or that ship that they had in episode 1, the long sleek.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
With it the Chrome one, something like that, but like medium size. It's like that's probably the biggest ship I could see them doing, and it being mostly just about going fast, really, really fast, and being very maneuverable, but weak and having a little bit of cargo, but kind of like their own sort of stab at the medium ship market against Freelancer, against Misk and Drake and RSI. So, but yeah, I mean, there's lots of other things. Like I could see them doing a gunship. I really want them to be the competitor, to make the competitor to the Ares, because if there's one other ship company that would make a ship built around a gun, it would be Kruger. And since they make the gun and the ship, it would make more sense. So having a retro futuristic version of the A10.
Oh my god damn it. I knew you were going to say that. It happens every goddamn time. How many times does Star Citizen have to reinvent the goddamn A10 before they just buy the model from DCS World
and then
just put it in?
Put it in. That's what I'm saying. Just do that. Just take the A10.
Do that so we could get people to shut the fuck up about the A10 in Star Citizen. Just make it. just bring it from the real life and shove it in.
Just take the A10, make it sort of retro futuristic, but keep the lines, and then you got and call it the Kruger Warthog. And then you got it.
Yeah, it just keeps happening. It's like first it was the Merlin, and then it was the Avenger Titan, or the Avenger series, because they had a bespoke size 3 gun on it that was like a Gatling cannon. And then there was the Gladius that had its bespoke size 2, and then the Ares Inferno comes out. It's like the A10. Every time it happens, it's a Gatling cannon. It's like the A10. People lose their fucking minds.
Because Bert.
It's just like, just stop it.
Bert. As Dell says, Americans love the A10. And this is going to get kind of dark, but the British don't.
Oh. I get that reference.
Yeah,
I understand.
If you got that reference, please say in the comments.
Big oof.
All right, next question comes from TK Rex and asks, do you see CIG supporting player-generated content in game via mechanics like Grounded's and Mario's level creation by using base building instead? Oh, so like having players make their own like Star Marine maps using base building tools? I mean, yeah, maybe.
I can see players building bases and having them be like little fun houses. Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. But I mean, it's really how well the tool works. That's going to require CIG to like give us a place where you can build like a canvas to build the stuff on. So, all right. Easy the Goon asks, after the launch of Squadron 42, how long do you think it will be before all hands on deck for the PU before they move to episode 2? All right. I'm going to say another controversial thing that I keep hearing people say, but I think it's just the wrong way of looking at it. Squadron 42 isn't delaying Star Citizen. What's delaying Star Citizen? Star Citizen is delaying Star Citizen. Because all of the things that would go into making Squadron 42 is not the thing that is holding Star Citizen back. The things that are holding Star Citizen back are dynamic server meshing, instancing, and all the things surrounding that. So like engineering is something that I'm sure exists in Squadron 42, but it being ported into Star Citizen needs more details than just what they have in Squadron, and also it needs to be implemented for server meshing. Same with the quantum travel and all these different aspects which were already developed for Squadron that are being ported to Star Citizen. They need to be like made to work in the Star Citizen architecture, because while they're built on the same engine, they're not the same game, especially with the back end. So effectively, what's delaying Star Citizen is just the tools need to be finished. They've taken a huge step towards finishing it with dynamic or with static meshing in, but they still need more tools to be done. And this focus on playability has been, basically said all of these other things that people want, these features, are just backburnered until they can get people happy with stuff. And seeing my comment section and my chat over the last couple of weeks, basically people are still mad. So like until those people are less mad or rarely mad, we're probably not going to see new features into the game unless CIG really wants to push it. So, so I don't think we're going to see a lot of folks moving from Squadron to Star Citizen, because the people who would move have already moved. And the people who are still on Squadron now will move to Squadron Part 2 or Chapter 2 or whatever it's called. And that will simply just be taking the stuff they have now and utilizing it to build that next chapter of the story. There might be some changes and additions here and there, but those changes and additions will probably come from Star Citizen rather than Squadron. They'll just take it and then they'll reverse engineer it back into Squadron, because they'll have time to test it with the players. They'll have time to test it with the they have time to like make sure, see if it's fun or works, the balancing it, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. What do you think, HC Vertigo?
I think Squadron 42 is holding up the development of Star Citizen.
Go for it.
Because there's a lot of cutscenes they're working on that aren't going to be in Star Citizen.
True.
That's there was like a saying that I was watching like indie game devs talk about, why a lot of indie games tend to go for like the really lazy crafting, looting, survival, zombie horde kind of stuff, and why no indie company really makes RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
Because RPGs usually require a lot of bespoke systems and cutscenes and whatnot, dialogue that you're never going to use again.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have this cutscene where you introduce a character, and you're never going to use that scene again in the rest of the game. As opposed to like if you're just doing a zombie shooter, it's like you can build like 20 zombies and you'll see them 200 million times throughout the entire game. So same thing with Squadron.
Yeah.
You're going to have a lot of set pieces, a lot of bespoke stuff in Squadron that you're going to use once, you're going to see once. You're going to see Admiral Bishop blow up his Bengal character carrier in a cutscene like once or twice, and you go through the wreck site to get a MacGuffin to do the next mission, but that's the last time you're going to see that. Right? Maybe it'll be like Halo Combat Evolved, where you get to play the mission, you play the game in one direction, and you play the second half of the game, and you run backwards to the game to the rest of the game. Everyone saw what you did, Bungie, all those years ago.
I mean, I think they did a good job of reframing it some cases, and that was pretty. Mm-hmm. That wasn't an unusual thing. But do you do you think that the current things that people are really mad about in Star Citizen would be solved if they had more cutscenes in Star Citizen?
No. I mean, it would be kind of nice, I guess, to have a few cutscenes here. So
is the fact that like cutscenes and the things that are working on for Squadron delaying Star Citizen? Because
I think they are. Like you look at the event we had right now, like maybe if they didn't have so much focus on Squadron 42, the elevators would have worked better because they were more focused on getting everything done for Star Citizen. I'm of the firm belief, and I don't think anyone can argue back from this, is that Squadron 42 has taken resources from Star Citizen.
Oh, for sure.
If Squadron 42 had not exist, I think the PU would be a lot farther along than it is.
Yeah, and vice versa too. If Star Citizen had existed, Squadron 42 would have been out by now. So yeah. It's the problem.
The problem is, in my view, is that Star Citizen makes all the money, and then Squadron 42 gets a lot of the.
a lot of the focus in terms of that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Chris Roberts wants to make his movie, but he has to keep the lights on and for Star Citizen because that's where all the money's coming. That's almost what it feels like sometimes.
Oh, for sure, I get that. I just think that a lot of people also underestimate how much work that went into Squadron has also come back into Star Citizen. Basically, everything we've gotten in the last 2 years has been Squadron stuff that they finally ported over to Star Citizen, except for the server meshing.
That both games can use, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the flight model, weapons, physical models that were going to be like used for both games anyways, like the Idris, for example.
Yeah,
that's used in both games.
Almost certainly, I've noticed this a little bit in some of the cutscenes from that we've seen in Squadron, is that the thing they use to make the ASD facilities is a Squadron asset.
Mhm.
It's a Squadron asset that they've stolen from Squadron and then redressed up as an ASD facility.
I think you're right. I think I may remember the old one of the old cutscenes,
Yeah.
or one of the old
Where you-
piece of
where you
propaganda
see,
for
like-
Squadron 42.
Where you see like a Copian walking around. I'm like, I've seen that hallway before. I get this, So,
But yeah, like I'm of the opinion that there are some things that cross over between both games, but there's a lot of tech that doesn't.
no, yeah.
And an MMO is completely different from a single player immersive cinematic experience, and there are some things you have developers working on specifically for Star Citizen, and that's not going to come over to Squadron or either vice versa. So I know we're gonna have to agree to disagree, I guess.
I think we both agree on certain things. I just don't think that the main problems that are with Star Citizen right now are because there's no is because Squadron is being worked on. All of the things that are problematic with Star Citizen, the people who would fix those problems are working on Star Citizen. And I just don't see like how optimization of Squadron or like rechanging of like level designs or as you said like cutscenes would really make Star Citizen's problems go away. I think people overestimate. I'm not saying it does have the split and the attention hasn't happened and hasn't caused problems. That's like sort of past tense at this point. I just don't think that people being mad at Squadron is the way of doing things. Like I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is be mad at CIG's own decision on what they're focusing on in Star Citizen, not because they're focusing.
Yeah, be mad
at
Chris
Citizen.
Roberts.
Yeah, it's Chris and his team are focusing on certain things in Star Citizen that they could be that other things could be fixed, but they're focusing on that. So whatever your special snowflake thing that you want that is broken or isn't working or hasn't been added yet, it's because Chris is focusing on other things in Star Citizen, not because Squadron exists as a game. That's my take on it, at least. So, next question comes from Centurion, who asks, what is the likelihood that Squadron 42 will be released within the first half of 2026? Absolutely zero.
I can't see it.
No.
Christmas 2026, maybe.
Yes.
Early 2027, possibly.
No, we would have seen advertisements if they were trying to release it. They would have already announced a release date. Because, like, as much as I've seen a lot of people, especially in video games, there's this trend amongst people who make video games that they would rather not have a buildup of hype for a game. They'd rather just finish the game and release it and then move on, because they don't like the process of advertisements and all of the sorts of. I'm guessing it's partially because like a lot of those times you have to go out and do interviews, and game developers aren't exactly the most social people on the planet. Software developers tend to. There's an old joke. I come from a family of engineers, so the old joke about engineers is, how do you know an extroverted engineer? How can you tell when you're good? Because he's staring at the other person's shoes.
Yeah.
So like, I get it, but yeah, I think the reality is it's most likely, like.
I think
not December 31st, but damn near close to December 31st, 2026.
Definitely winter fall quarter. The way I see it, like AAA games get their success off the backs of good marketing.
Yes.
And if Chris Roberts felt like early 2026 was going to be a good time for Star Citizen, I think we would see a lot more a heavier push to market for Squadron. We really haven't seen a lot of stuff coming from inside Star Citizen or Star Citizen Live.
Mhm.
We'll probably see stuff at CitizenCon.
Yeah.
That'll be a good canary for
Good
whether or not
gauge.
we'll good
Yeah.
gauge of when Squadron 42 is going to come out, depending on how hard CIG hypes Squadron 42. But generally speaking, you want to start hyping up. You want to get into the cultural collective unconsciousness of your product. Maybe a few months before you start building the hype, start getting the name your product in people's mouth.
Yeah, at least
You
in
want people to start
eyeballs.
talking about I get into people's eyeballs, get into people's mouths, so they start talking about your product. Not necessarily word of mouth, just so people know your product exists, talking about it, and they're like, oh hey, 142, yeah, what's that all about?
I saw that on YouTube.
Oh man, I remember Star Citizen, yeah. So in order to do that, you have to start advertising. You have to start getting Google ads on Twitter, Facebook, Meta, Reddit.
Yeah.
You got to start hitting all those places, and we haven't seen anything like that yet. Squadron. So it's not even like a slow drip of trying to remind people that Squadron exists. So
when's the last time we had an update for Squadron? CitizenCon
last year, yeah.
We do get the like newsletters that come out every 3 months, maybe. Like
that's for nerds like you and me.
Yeah,
like just kind of like
that's not for the wider public. It is there as advertising, and it's clear that they're practicing how to talk about this with normal people, because a lot of it's written as if it's a press release to normal people, not super fans. But it's only really talked about by super fans. So yeah, you're right.
So yeah, I don't think we'll see early 2026. We're more than halfway through 2025, and 6 months you'd probably see a little bit of movement on Squadron 42. Maybe 3-4 months ahead of your release date, you probably want to start building the fire and start getting people to realize that you exist for a AAA game.
The general rule of thumb is 9 months for an activation.
Yeah,
but you should have some announcement 9 months before you release, and then 9 months to a year. The longer, the better. And then as you get closer to the release, you start having more ramp up. So you start seeing more ads. You start seeing varied ads. You start seeing interviews. Like you start really like blitzing your market and your demographic.
And I know a lot of people don't like marketing. They like to say, well, good games are just good because they're good and people buy them. Like what really comes down to, especially for the AAA games, whether or not they make their money back, is marketing. Mm-hmm. Grand Theft Auto, Battlefield, Madden, FIFA, those kind of, it's not anymore, but from EA, from Electronic Arts, they put a lot of money into their marketing firms for a very good reason, because it does pay them back dividends.
The classic response is, well, people just buy games because they're good. And the question is, how do you know they're good? Because no one knows they're good. Remember the old days when you could only tell a game by the box art? Even that's marketing.
Or you'd have a catalog of new products coming out for like your IBM PC, and you just had like a little blurb or something. You had to order it through the mail.
Yeah. So like you need to have something that tells people you exist, and that's what marketing's for. So all right. Apparently, as we're doing this recording, 4.3 is going live in the next few minutes. So finally, they're releasing it.
Cool.
The real question, Chris Wooten asks, the real question: do you wear pants during these shows?
I am required by Twitch to say that I wear pants at all times.
That is, yes. I am legally required to say that I am clothed at all times.
Even when I'm in the bathroom, Twitch requires me to say that I am fully clothed.
Yes.
My butt, at least 3/4 of my buttocks is covered at all times. Twitch. If any admins are watching this.
God.
I think that is a
little rule. There's a little rule on Twitch where like you have to have certain percentages. It feels like dress codes at schools. Like, you cannot show your belly button,
You have to have 3/4 you have to have all your genitals covered. You have to have 3/4 of your buttocks covered.
Yeah.
Can't show any nipples, no matter what gender you are.
No genitalia.
Yeah. See, Daddy CNG says, which three quarters? It reminds me of like that meme of like, how would a dog wear pants if he wore pants?
Yeah,
Would he wear it like across all four legs or just the back half?
the back
would be
half.
having pant cuff. It would have pants.
All right, Red Marine asks, is there still a way to play the older CR games? Yes and no. I heard recently that Freelancer was getting a release again, but for the longest time, you could only pirate Freelancer to make it work because Microsoft abandoned it. But all of the Wing Commander games are on GOG.
Yep, I can confirm. I streamed them a
Yeah, I
couple
did
years
too.
ago.
So you can
Wing Commander 1, 2, 3, 4, Prophecy, Academy, Armada, and then I think even Starlancer is on there as well.
Starlancer might be
You can
there.
get Starlancer.
I don't know
That's
if
a Digital Anvil.
I don't know if what is it called? If Privateer is on GOG, but it might
Nope,
be.
Wing Commander Privateer is on there. I played that as well.
Okay, yeah.
So you get Wing Commander Privateer. Freelancer is the big one. If you want to get a copy of Wing Commander, just Freelancer. If you want to get a copy of Freelancer, you're gonna have to buy it off like eBay or.
Yeah.
But you can do it, or if you want to go sailing the high sea.
Yeah. And Jin, who used to work at Origin, it says they're all in the Origin library. And sorry to burst your bubble, Jin. I purchased them on Origin, and they didn't work.
I don't know if I think Strike Commander is on GOG. Well, I'm gonna go check right now. I'm just fired up.
But GOG, I did buy them on GOG, and they worked.
Yeah.
So
I can guarantee you all the Wing Commander games work from GOG because I streamed them all.
I did too.
And there's a modern remake of Wing Commander Privateer.
There is.
It's Rebel Galaxy Outlaw. It's basically the developers loved Wing Commander Privateer so much they basically just remade the game. It's not a remake. It's like a reimagining of it. Completely different story, but it hits all the same beats of Wing Commander Privateer. So if you're like me and you love the game, you're like, oh wow, this song sounds really familiar because it takes off, kind of riffs off of like some of the Wing Commander Privateer soundtrack. Oh, this guy, he sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Oh wow, this cockpit looks really familiar too.
Yep.
It was an interesting experience.
They're spamming
Spiritual
bones.
success story, yes.
They're spamming bones in Star Citizen Cat, and I don't understand how to interpret this. Bone.
Yeah.
Look up Star Citizen Bone because he's a developer. Star Citizen. Spiritual successor. Yeah, and there's a couple of other spiritual successor. Free or is that Free Space?
There's Free Space.
No, there was one.
Free Space.
There was a game that was sort of like a roguelike that where you jumped an area and you explored it and you moved on, and then they made a sequel, and that sequel is basically a reimagining of Privateer.
I know exactly what it is.
I forgot the name of it.
I streamed it. I own it.
I did too.
And I can't. The name is escaping me right now, but I know what it is.
Yeah. Everspace.
Everspace. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Everspace and Everspace 2 is the same. So, but yeah, I'd highly suggest doing it. One of the things that I play, I never played Wing Commander 1. I played Wing Commander 4, but I was young when that happened. I went back and played Wing Commander 1 to stream it, and one of the things I discovered was, holy shit, is that game difficult, but also fun and engaging. Like it's a lot more modern than I think I was prepared for. Because I was so used to games back then being super simple and very dumbed down in terms of mechanics. But like Wing Commander 1 was very dialed in and frustrating at times. And then Wing Commander 2 is sort of like takes that but expand it. And then from there you move on to Wing Commander 3, which is such a huge graphical update, and then Wing Commander 4 similar.
So I to go back to Strike Commander, I just found it on GOG.com. It is available $5.99. You want.
You can't play the original like BBC micro game, his first game that he did that like it's like a dungeon game. I can't remember the name of it.
Chris Roberts did a dungeon game?
Yeah, it was his first game. His first game was like a temple exploration game. It had like the front of it was like an old Mayan temple you'd have to do. That was
I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
Yeah. 4-3 is live. Nice.
Cool.
All right.
We'll be playing that tomorrow.
Yeah. Uh, had 3 games for when he was a teenager. Yeah, he did it when he was like 14. He made those games. Akubu Sensei Kuro asks, would you like to see Pets Incorporated or Pets Inc., a company that creates a pet-themed missions for players such as Find Fido, Transport Fluffy, and timed high-stakes fetch missions to grab vital medicines for veterinary services, to the fringes to treat an outbreak, etc. I mean, sure, if they're going to incorporate pets, they might as well go all the way.
I mean, we already have the we kind of already have that with, I think, Riari or something.
Yeah.
Where you have to go out and euthanize lost pets in caves.
Yeah. Lost
The
pets.
Copian mission.
They're totally lost pets.
Missions.
And not,
they're totally lost pets.
And not deliberately delivered there.
I mean, you could twist, you could do the interpretation, you can twist that however you want.
All right, we have 2 more questions. Simon Wolf asks, so should we ask Sandy to take charge of romance in Star Citizen?
Oh, gee.
Oh, yeah, I mean, sure, why not? I don't know, like, that's a weird fixation I've seen people have with, like, Star Citizen, mostly with Squadron, but with Star Citizen as well, like, wanting to add romance into the game, and it's like, why?
People are horny. They want to goon.
Well, they can goon to other games. There's plenty of other fantastic gooning games you can go to.
But they like Star Citizen. They want to goon in Star Citizen. They don't have to pull out their phone and load up like Zen Zoneless Zero or something, or Gation Impact or Wuthering Waves.
I find it disturbing you know all of those games, but yeah, I mean, I do too. Not to mention Honkai Star Rail or
Honkai Star Rail, yeah. It's everybody, they have this weird obsession to mix every game they like into one mega game, and nobody really wants to play.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Like it's a problem. They want PvP, PvE co-op, and they want a single player story like Mass Effect, and they want it to be co-op. Like, I know what happens when you make a story-based game co-op. It becomes the goofiest experience you can imagine, and nothing is taken seriously.
I love those games though, but I mean, that's the reason why you have like Helldivers and like those sorts of games where it's like Helldivers in their trailers emphasizes how most of the time they're like, we're super serious, and in the background it's like the players killing each other by accident or on purpose. It's like, yeah, like civilians getting wasted by their own fire rather than, it's like, yeah, that's because they understand that, like, when you put a bunch of gamers together, they're going to do dumb shit. Like, that's why Lethal Company is funny, because people will do dumb shit to each other. It doesn't even bother to make it take itself seriously. Yeah. I don't know. All right. Last question is David Dell, who asks, with 5 systems listed for 1.0, how long do you think it'll be until systems from Squadron 42 will be ported over? Does this also mean that 1.0 could potentially come before Squadron 42?
No, I think Squadron 42 is going to come out first, then we're going to work towards points. And I think CIG is going to have to do some serious remodeling for some of the star systems because Chris Roberts, according to Chris Roberts, Star Citizen takes place after the story of Squadron 42. So yeah, they're going to have to like clean all the assets they have for Squadron 42 are probably have to clean up a little bit before they get ported over.
Like, I doubt we're going to see that major like mining platform that's one of the big centerpieces of Squadron. I doubt we'll see that in Star Citizen.
We could see it derelict or something. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen to that in
the store.
Squadron 42. Yeah, in the story. Because you're gonna have the story of Squadron 42 is gonna play out, and then you're gonna have the ramifications of those etched into canon, and then that's gonna be put into Star Citizen.
And Dell points out another thing. It's like, we know that the Battle of Vega 3 is just the skybox around Vega. Like, you can't even fly ships in that section. It's just sort of background. So it's probably not even really a level in Squadron in terms of like how Star Citizen would be. So they'd have to make that from scratch. So we don't know how much they just made Potemkin villages and how much of it is actual like locations.
assets they could use. Yeah, so they probably have to like, for example, a large battle in Squadron 42 would get put into lore, into canon, and then once that system gets added to Star Citizen, you probably have like a memorial built there with like kind of like Pearl Harbor is right now, where you have like the sunken battleships, and they're like you can go take tours with like glass bottom boats.
Yeah.
Um,
There's also you could have something like in Mass Effect 2 where you can go visit like the wreckage of the original Normandy.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Like,
I guess.
It exists, but it's not like you can, like they developed that you followed the Normandy into crash and then came back and all that kind of stuff, so it'll be sort of there. Okay, we have another last question because we've only been in for an hour. So from Omega, who asks, if Paul doesn't want romance in Squadron 42, does that mean he doesn't want the option to woo Cal Mason in the game? No, because if I am able to woo Cal Mason in the game, then so is HC Vertigo, and then it's no longer special. All right,
it's no longer special. He's folks. He's pansexual, but he's also very jealous.
Yes.
Very possessive.
Very possessive. I am very much. He is my husband, and you cannot have him. Chat. That's the answer. I am going to die on this hill in a funny way, because the actor who plays him is a really good guy. I haven't been able to talk to him, but I've seen some interviews with him. He's actually a pretty good actor. So, this is my pen. Yeah. I also, again, as Vertigo says, you don't want to see Chris Roberts write romance. You really don't want to see Chris Roberts write romance.
I've seen him write romance. It's pretty clunky.
Watch the Wing Commander movie and tell me you want that.
Oh God. I mean, honestly, the Wing Commander movie is great if you can have a few beers and some friends over to riff on it.
It's a solid B movie. It's a solid action B movie, but the romance sucks. All of the drama sucks. Like, the best parts of that movie are not involving any of the main cast. It's all of the supporting
the best
cast.
Parts of that, the best parts of that movie are unintentional, are not intended to be funny, like the space bulldozer.
Yes. Like
the bulldozer scene.
Like the broadside scene is kick-ass shit, and that like the whole interactions between like the captain and the Commodore and all of those sorts of things, that's all interesting and intriguing. But anytime you cut to the pilots and it's like Freddie Prinze Jr. is wasted. Who played Maniac? I forgot he is. Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Like, why am I blanking on his name? He's such a good actor. Like, he's wasted.
Matthew Lillard. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Coffee Gaming.
Yeah, he's wasted. Like, all of the actors in that are wasted in some way, shape, or form. But the ones who do it the best are the ones who play the supporting characters, who are supposed to be there to help the main cast, and it's like that's awful. Do you think we could watch the Wing Commander movie in game? No, probably not. All right. Well, that is the last question from us. Thank you to HC Vertigo for jumping in and helping me talk about exploration. I think it's good. We had a good conversation on it. Again, It'll be above his head if you want to go check that out. And if you're listening to this on the podcast version, again, rate the video or rate the podcast. Comment down below any of your thoughts on what we've talked about. If you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, hit the like button, subscribe for more content, hit the bell icon to be notified when release, and I want to know your thoughts down below as well, as always, to continue the conversation. I do read every comment. I may not respond to every comment, but I do read them as well, so try to keep them somewhat nice. Also, please, dear God, do not write a dissertation in the comments. I've had a couple people do that, and it's like, I get you want to have a conversation and an argument, but like, the comment section is not for that, like that length, you know? Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday. The Black.